Good afternoon or morning. For my media immersion project, I chose to focus on Fortnite. Throughout my presentation, I'm going to discuss my experience with my immersion in the game, how it connects to adolescent development, and some of the positive and negative influences that it may have on young people. So, what is Fortnite? Before getting into my analysis, I want to briefly discuss what Fortnite is all about. It is an online multiplayer game. It's a battle royale game, and so that means there is a large group of players that compete against each other until only one is left, until one team remains. It's cross-platform, so you can have a console like PlayStation, Xbox, you can have a computer, PC, you can even play it on your phone now, which is interesting. The game has a lot of social interaction in it. It incorporates a lot of teamwork. There is shooting, there is building, and there are a lot more than just those two things now included in the game, which I'll get into. But there's also features such as skins, emotes, and celebrity collaborations. I chose this media because I am familiar with it. I've played it with brothers, friends. I think just about everyone I know has played Fortnite at some point. And I know most of my students definitely know what Fortnite is, regardless of whether or not they have played it. And although I don't believe it's quite as popular as it used to be, I do think that it still holds a lot of adolescent engagement. I know a lot of my students who still do play, or they get back into it every now and then. Another reason I chose it is because it is very connected to youth culture. It cycles through trends, music, social media, including TikTok, memes, dances, etc. All the things that the youth is loving right now. It incorporates a lot of that. As you can see in some of my photos, we have Chappelle Roan, we have Sabrina Carpenter, we have Twitch streamer iShowSpeed, the Kardashians, we have Bruno Mars, and we have YouTuber Mr. Beast. So we have a lot of, this is just a small example of all of the pop culture references that this game has, all of whom my students recognize. But I also wanted to explore this media because I think it's really interesting how this game functions as a source of entertainment. It has so many different aspects to it. It's not so much just a violent shooting game. It's a lot more cartoony, a lot more music-based, creativity-based, and it's also a huge social space for students, either with people that they don't know in real life or friends that they do know in real life. To get more into my familiarity with Fortnite, I've played it on and off for several years. I started playing during COVID. When COVID first came out in 2017, I absolutely refused to have anything to do with it. I thought it seemed too goofy and too juvenile. But over COVID, when it became a sort of way to stay connected with friends, I downloaded it. And I ended up having a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of creativity to it. I don't personally like violent games. But there are so many cute skins, so many cute customizable parts of the game that I truly loved. I also loved spending money on it, which I'll talk more about spending money in this game in a little bit. But I stepped away from it when I started student teaching because there was just less time to play a game that I was not overly emotionally invested in. But I do really love that my students are very familiar with it. I can hear them talking about it, and then I can chime in and be like, oh yeah, I have that skin, or I remember in the battle pass when this was a thing, and I can relate to them on that level. But I do think my students have a funny reaction when they find out that I've played Fortnite before. They're usually shocked. They're like, someone as old as you plays this game? That's a little scary. But playing Fortnite again recently to dive back into it from this project made me remember what I like about it so much. It made me want to spend money on it again. I did not. Anyway, but it reminded me that it's more than just a game. It's a huge part of youth culture, and there's a lot of online social interaction a part of this game. For my immersion process, I spent approximately 5 to 6 hours of total exposure, maybe a little bit longer. But activities included playing Fortnite matches. I watched a little bit of gameplay from popular YouTubers who played it, or I guess I should say Twitch streamers. And I checked the shop just about every day to see what new skins, what new emotes, and whatever else was popular at the time going on. But I took notes on some of the communication between players, emotional reactions, and also one thing that I clearly focused a lot on here was just the cultural references and how much of what the youth is into is embedded in this game to either, I guess, further influence youth to want to take part in playing this game. My key observations were that there is a lot of strong social interactions through voice chat and team play. There's even a way to type your thoughts into the match to where every single person, even people who are your enemies and not your teammates, can see it. I don't believe it's utilized very much, at least it was not during my playthroughs. But there is a lot of voice chat where you are talking through a mic to the person that you are in the same team as. The game content is constantly reflecting current youth trends. They recently did K-pop Demon Hunters, that movie that came out and was a huge hit. So they take whatever's popular and they make a skin for it immediately. A lot of the emotes dances are from TikTok, K-pop, or celebrities. There's a lot of songs that trend on TikTok and then they use whatever song that is to create an emote with it. So there's a lot of buy-in with the TikTok people who enjoy that. The game acts as kind of a crossover space for music, film, sports, social media, and gaming. It has absolutely everything: Star Wars, Disney, Marvel, anime, video game characters. It just about anything that someone is interested in media-wise is probably a skin or a character or some sort of element in that game. Violence does exist. There is shooting, there is guns, but I would say it's more cartoon-like and stylized. There's no blood. There's not really so much. There's no open wounds. It's all cartoon-like, but there is guns in it. The game regularly incorporates trends, celebrities, brands, and media franchise into its content. For example, they have had a lot of collaborations with Nike. A lot of my students love Nike. That's like the name brand to wear if you are an athletic person. So they have skins for that too. How Fortnite appeals to adolescents. I included a few videos here. I worry that they're going to be a little bit loud, but I'm going to play them, a few of them very briefly. But just to go over them, we have Fortnite and Star Wars collaboration. Every Star Wars skin you can imagine, every Star Wars character that you can imagine is in this game. The Ariana Grande, we have Black Panther, they have all the Marvel characters, and then this is a video of all the popular TikTok dances that are in Fortnite. So while some of these things, all these skins, dances, and other cosmetics are free, for the most part, if you actually want something that is good, you're going to have to spend some money on it, which we'll talk about soon here. But as you can see, we have quite a few different examples of media that is included in this game. Adolescents see Fortnite as a place to be social. They can talk to their friends who they know in real life and stay connected with those friends. They're also able to talk to strangers, which is a little bit scary. I will say that all the strangers that I connected with online sounded like children, which was a little scary for me. But it's also a place to express identity through skins, emotes, and customization. And like I said, that was my personal favorite part about the game. I made everything I had pink, just to like emphasize who I was. So I love that I could express my own individuality and like what I find cute, what I find appealing. I could make everything look like that. So it's a great way for students or children, adolescents, to express identity through skins, emotes, customization. It's also a way to stay connected to what's popular, what's funny at the time. A lot of what they release is based off of what's popular in youth culture. There's a lot of positive impacts on adolescents in this game. They have a lot of teamwork and communication, that teammates are required to work with each other. So they're required to work together and be a team. It creates opportunities for collaboration and problem solving. Students have to ideally talk out loud and be able to solve their problem, how they're going to win, in order to work together as a team, because not talking to each other is not going to help them win whatsoever. You have to have clear communication. It provides a shared social space where friends can interact regularly. So even if you cannot hang out with your friend every day, you can definitely queue up Fortnite every night if your screen time from your parents allows. It encourages self-expression through customization and identity exploration. And it also helps adolescents feel connected to peer groups and popular culture. If everyone's playing Fortnite, if you can go to school the next day and say, I also play Fortnite, I remember this skin, I got this skin, I did this, I won my game, it can help students or adolescents feel more connected to their peer group. Fortnite matters to adolescents. As Blakemore states, friends are more important to us during adolescence than any other stage in our lives. Friends are very important to adolescents. Adolescents are very highly motivated by peer acceptance and belonging. Fortnite provides that space where friends can spend time together, they can communicate and build relationships, they can find something in common with playing video games together. For many players, I believe that the game is less about winning and more about just having fun with your friends. It is a battle royale game, so only a few out of 100 people are going to win. The max of being 4 people out of 100, that's leaves a lot of losing, because the percentage rates of winning can be quite low unless you're very good. So it's more about just having fun and being social and seeing how far you can get into the game. There's also more than just shooting and winning and being the last person alive. There's a lot of creative modes. People have made their own worlds and like their own mini games that people can play. There's also racing games. There's music games like it's kind of like Guitar Hero. There's places where you can just, the only point of it is to be in a lobby and socialize with people. There's emotes, collaborative gameplay that give adolescents opportunities to express themselves. And I have another quote by Blakemore. Adolescence is a formative period of life when neural pathways are malleable and passion and creativity run high. So I love how creative this game is. And I do believe that the ability to express oneself in this game makes it really alluring because there are so many options for expressing yourself. To talk a little bit about peer influence and decision making, adolescents are especially sensitive to peer influence. According to Blakemore, it is particularly important to adolescents to be accepted by their peer group. So Fortnite is the kind of game where, at least a few years ago, everyone was playing. I feel like it's diminished just a little bit. But at the time, especially for the video gamers in the classrooms, I can definitely see that helping them feel accepted and by their peer groups. But peer relationships can have both positive and negative effects on decision making. So whilst Fortnite can strengthen friendship, it can also create pressures to keep up with the trends, cosmetics, and limited time events. And like I said, not everything in this game is free. In fact, a majority of it is not free. So to get in a little bit about the negative impacts, I focused less on the violence in the game and more on the money aspect of the game, because this game heavily encourages microtransactions through daily rotating items in the shop. Every night, I think it's 6 or 7 o'clock, the shop updates, and even I'm excited to go see what's in the shop that day. I love checking what's new at the shop, but it kind of creates that urgency and that fear of missing out, FOMO, because it's only there for 24 hours typically. So you either have to buy it then, or it might never show up again. So this normalizes spending money on digital-only items. When someone buys something on Fortnite, it does not really give anyone anything substantial. It just makes you look different in the game. It has nothing to do with winning. It's all about appearances, so it keeps up pressure to keep up with the trends, the skins, and limited time items to maintain social status. There are also things that you can only unlock in a certain period of time. And that can result in students maybe avoiding schoolwork or avoiding things that they should do, like going outside, spending time with family, because they need to unlock this special item that only unlocks that's only unlockable for a short period of time. It also links identity and popularity. So these rare and exclusive cosmetics can lead to repeated spending habits, especially among young players. There are constant releases, so this fast-changing shop content may increase impulsive buying and behavior. So Fortnite creates a consumer-driven environment where identity and participation are partially shaped by spending. Like I said, if you want something truly good, you're going to have to spend money. Most of it is not going to come for free. So players purchase V-Bucks, which is the in-game currency used for all digital items. The Battle Pass costs around 800 V-Bucks, which is about, well, you can't buy exactly 800. You have to buy 1,000, which is $9. So minimum of spending $9. That's about every 2 to 3 months, which is not crazy. But once you start spending money, it is hard to stop, especially since, as you see up here, the Battle Pass already has select skins. So if you're not really interested in the Battle Pass, what you're going to be interested is going to be in the shop, which skins are far more expensive in the shop than they are in the Battle Pass. Skins typically cost 800, but more commonly 2,000 if you're buying a skin that has some sort of media franchise behind it, such as Star Wars. Those skins are going to be about 2,000 V-Bucks, which, as we see, to get 2,000, there's already $23 for one skin, which is insanity. Players can also buy a wide range of items, including skins, emotes, pickaxes, gliders, weapon wraps, and car cosmetics. The store has absolutely everything. You can customize absolutely everything. And like I said, these things do not last forever. If you don't buy it then, it's going to go away. So why do players buy skins? The game has no improvement based on skins other than just visually. You can show your friends your skin, or you could just be happy that you have it yourself. It's all digital. But there can be that fear of exclusion. Blakemore notes that adolescents' decisions are often driven by the fear of exclusion by their friends. So if their friends have all the new skins, they're going to want those skins as well. Social motivation. Many purchases are motivated by social factors rather than practical needs or utilities, because everyone's going to see that skin that somebody has. So they are going to want to have the nicest one, ideally. Urgency and trends, as previously stated, limited time skins and collaboration create pressure to participate in trends and avoid feeling left out. In Blakemore's book, she talks about the marshmallow test, in which children are not allowed to eat a marshmallow, or they're allowed to, but if they wait, they get 2 marshmallows. And so children who are able to wait demonstrate a stronger delayed gratification and self-control. Later studies found that self-control in childhood was linked to positive social and academic and financial outcomes, which is amazing. How does this idea connect to Fortnite, however? Players face similar choices when spending V-Bucks. Should they spend their V-Bucks immediately on a new skin or emote, or possibly miss out on it forever? What's $23 more? You could buy the new skin now, and then later, if you see another skin you want, spend another $23. Those V-Bucks go very fast, and daily shop rotations and limited time items make waiting difficult, because it creates that sense of urgency. It's a little bit manipulative for adolescents. To talk a little bit more about self-control and life outcomes, Blakemore presents research showing that children with lower levels of self-control are more likely to experience negative outcomes later in life. This includes leaving school without qualifications, financial difficulties, and even unplanned pregnancies. So self-control influences many areas of life beyond childhood. It involves resisting immediate reward in order to achieve larger future goals. And I believe how I've seen Fortnite, it takes self-control and it diminishes it heavily with all of the marketing schemes and everything that they do in order to get adolescents to be interested in their skins, all of the new media-related skins. They want to be socially accepted by their peer group. They want to have the coolest, newest skin. These skins are releasing all the time, and so this self-control is difficult when posed with all of these choices. Self-control, however, can be improved. Adolescence is an important period for developing self-regulation and decision-making skills. Blakemore explains that the mindfulness training in school significantly improves self-control and well-being in young people and reduces the risk of mental health problems such as anxiety and depression. So if schools are willing to have some sort of mindfulness training class, that can definitely help develop self-control in adolescents and help them learn how to make more thoughtful decisions, including how they spend money in games like Fortnite. So how does Fortnite portray adolescent development? Fortnite reflects adolescents' strong desire for social connection and peer interaction. It mirrors adolescents' increased sensitivity to reward, risk-taking, and excitement. Fortnite creates a social environment where friendship and belonging are important. However, the game does exaggerate the importance of appearance and status and consumerism, similarly to how society portrays adolescents at this time now. Students are between having true friends, or they're between having to look a certain way, dress a certain way, spend money to have a certain name brand, to make friends. So I see a lot of connections between Fortnite, Fortnite and adolescence. But in conclusion, Fortnite reflects several important aspects about adolescent development, including peer influence, identity exploration, social connection, and reward-seeking behavior. However, I do think that this game is great with promoting creativity, communication, and collaboration. I do think that the consumerism that is very much motivated and blasted towards young adolescents is in causing students to feel that social pressure to keep up with trends, spending money that is not being spent in the right places, and it's not teaching adolescents good habits to have. But that is my slide. Here are my works cited. I have a lot to say about Fortnite, but I'll wrap it up because this is getting quite long. So thank you for listening. Fortnite's a great game.